Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
You must be watching Assam-Mizoram border tensions very closely. On the 26th of July, as all of us know, Mizoram police opened fire at the Assam police, killing 6 personnel of the Assam police. Since then, the situation has been very tense. Yesterday, we heard how Union Home Minister Amit Shah spoke to both the chief ministers. And after that, actually, there have been some attempts to actually somehow cool the temperature on the ground. So yesterday, Mizoram government announced that the FIR filed by the Mizoram police against the Assam chief minister will be withdrawn. And then Assam chief minister late at night, in a couple of tweets around 1:30, 1:35 a.m. actually, he also declared that okay, the FIR filed by the Assam police against an MP in Mizoram will be withdrawn, but the Assam government will pursue the case against the policemen involved, those who actually fired at the Assam police. Besides that, the two chief ministers had spoken after the clashes, and yesterday also we heard Mizoram Chief Minister Joram Thanga saying that he had spoken to the Union Home Minister and the Assam Chief Minister about this. But late at night, in that tweet, the Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma, he hinted that tension is still there. He said, I have noted. His tone was pretty terse actually. He said, I have noted the statements given by the Honorable Chief Minister of Mizoram that he wanted to settle this border dispute amicably. And Assam is ready for that. But again, he was saying just yesterday only that he had tweeted that, basically what he had said a couple of days back, that, he had been calling the Mizoram Chief Minister. He had called him 18-20 times. But Mizoram Chief Minister had told him that he would be calling back after he was out of quarantine. So as you know, the Mizoram Chief Minister driver had tested COVID positive, and after that the CM quarantined himself. But it's ironical that the two chief ministers and the Union Home Minister, they cannot even have a video conference. All over you see, especially during the pandemic, even international summits are happening, but the CMs and the center, they cannot actually organize this. That's a bit surprising, and that shows that level of distrust that the two states have in each other, I would say, because it would have been easy. You just pick up the phone, talk to each other, come on Zoom, Google Meet, wherever, you trash it out. That is not happening. But I'm not getting into the nitty-gritty of this border dispute. You must have heard our editor-in-chief, Shekhar Gupta. You must have read him actually in his national interest. He dealt with this subject very comprehensively. So please read his national interest on the weekend. I won't talk about the complexities, nor will I give you the ground report actually in this episode of Politically Correct, because my colleague Ananya Bhardwaj has been traveling. She is right there on ground zero. She has been sending dispatches. Please read her reports. That will give you a clear idea of what is happening on the ground. Just in a nutshell, I can just tell you that, while efforts are on to somehow bring down the temperature, on the ground actually, it's still tense. So Ananya was traveling at several points on the border, and she saw the two police forces virtually confronting each other eyeball to eyeball at a couple of points. At the clash point, I'm talking about July, on the 26th of July, what happened. So the clash point, actually, the center wanted a 4-kilometer long buffer zone. But somehow Assam police, you have, Assam police, then you have Assam police, CRPF deployed by the Assam police. Then again, on the other side, you have CRPF deployed by the Mizoram police, and then the Mizoram police post. But neither the Assam police nor the Mizoram police are actually retreating from their posts. From the Assam side, this highway 306, there has been a kind of unannounced blockade. So highway has been blocked, as a result of which there is a major crisis happening in Mizoram, because essential supplies like medicines. Mizoram, actually the COVID situation in Mizoram is getting pretty serious, and the medicines are not there. Again, things like vegetables, they are becoming very expensive, because once the supply line is choked by blocking the national highway, things are becoming very difficult for the people in Mizoram also. So you see, the tensions are actually, the emotions are running high on both sides. And in between, you heard on Saturday, even one of the BJP ministers in Meghalaya, Sanbor Sulei, he actually spoke about how, the People of Assam are harassing, as he said, quote unquote, our people in the border area. And it's time to react, it's time to act on the spot. So you see the other states are also getting drawn in this conflict. But in this episode of Politically Correct, I'm not getting into those complexities, as I said. I'll look at the politics behind it. You may have noticed neither the Prime Minister nor the Union Home Minister has come out with any public statement so far. There has not even been a word of condolence for the death of the Assam police personnel, which is quite uncharacteristic of them. But as it is, I was looking at their Twitter timelines also, probably they said something about this, but in the last 1 week, neither of them had spoken out. They have talked about cloudbursts in Kishtwar, they have talked about cloudbursts in Kargil, they have condoled the death of people in a Barabanking road accident. In fact, the only time something came out from the Prime Minister's office, or from the Prime Minister actually, about the Northeast, was when he shared that what he called wonderful news about Bhoot Jolakia, that chili from Nagaland, being exported to London, from Nagaland to London. That was about it. No mention of those border clashes, no mention of what is happening on the ground. Although we know that the Home Minister has been in touch with the Chief Ministers, officially there is no statement from the centre so far, neither from the Prime Minister nor the Home Minister, which is, as I said, which sounds a bit strange. But there probably are several reasons behind this. I can give you 3 reasons for the silence of the Prime Minister and the Home Minister in this affair. And all these 3 regions are kind of intertwined, like all related. So first region I would share with you is, given the BJP's stakes in the Northeast, now BJP made the entire Northeast Congress mukt, or free of the Congress. So it kind of allied with several small parties, regional parties in every state, and basically dislodged Congress from power from all the states in the Northeast. Having done that, and in that process, BJP had actually taken the initiative to form what is called NEDA, that is Northeastern Democratic Alliance, which includes actually all the regional parties in the Northeast, led by the BJP actually. So Congress is out. It's kind of an anti-Congress alliance. NEDA has been there in every state. So in some states you have BJP leading the government, in some states you have some other NEDA partner leading the government, but it's Congress mukt totally. And that makes the BJP's job a bit difficult. For instance, see, in Assam you have the BJP leading the government, but in Mizoram, you talk about the political situation there. Now you have Mizo National Front of Zoramthanga. Mizo National Front is leading the government, although it's part of NEDA. The MNF or Zoramthanga hasn't actually, shown any friendship with the BJP as such on the ground in his state, in Mizoram. So there is one BJP MP in Mizoram, and BJP has been actually pressing hard for that BJP MLA to actually sit on the treasury benches. But the Chief Minister has not allowed. So you may call it an NDA government or NEDA government in Mizoram, but BJP does not have any, BJP is not part of it actually, because even the MLA does not get to sit on the treasury benches. Come to the neighboring state, Meghalaya. Now you saw in Meghalaya you have NPP, that's the National People's Party headed by Conrad Sangma, who is the Chief Minister of Meghalaya too. Now in 2018 elections, Congress got 21 seats. It's a 60-member assembly. The NPP got 20 seats, and the BJP got just 2 seats. But the BJP went on to form the government, although the Congress was the single largest party. So what happened was Himanta Biswa Sharma, as you know, his skill as an interlocutor, as somebody who can cobble up a majority in the assembly, that's legendary actually. In one state after another in the Northeast, he has done that. So in Meghalaya also, even though they were short of numbers, Himanta Biswa Sharma reached there. He brought 3 other regional parties together with the NPP. BJP was there, and they finally secured a majority, and the government was formed under Conrad Sangma. Now, BJP has a minister also. So in a 60-member assembly, BJP has just 2 MLAs, and is part of the government. Thanks to Himanta Biswa Sharma. Come to Manipur. In Manipur again, BJP cannot really take what you call, can't really upset any of its regional allies, because in Manipur, where the government is headed by the BJP, led by the BJP, this government banks. I mean, the support of the BJP MLA, NPP MLAs is crucial for the survival of N Singh government. So on the one hand, you have Assam, where the BJP is leading the government. Then Meghalaya, Mizoram, Manipur, even if somewhere it's NEDA partners leading all three governments. So you have Conrad NPP in Manipur, in Meghalaya, you have MNF in Mizoram, and you have BJP in Manipur. But they are all linked. You see how BJP did not have much stake in Meghalaya and Mizoram, and in Manipur, it is dependent on NPP MLAs for its survival, and Manipur is going to polls early next year. So actually the BJP would not really want to be seen as taking sides anywhere. One misstep and this entire coalition crumbles. That's the first reason. Second reason, I would say, in the Northeast, actually, Amit Shah, I would say, does not really have much political heft. In the sense that, on the 26th, you had these clashes happening. On the 25th and 24th of July, Amit Shah was in Shillong. And he had a 2-day long meeting with all the chief ministers of the northeastern region. Chief secretaries of those states and even the DGPs of those states attended that meeting, and the border disputes were discussed thoroughly. Amit Shah leaves Shillong on the 25th, and the 26th you see these clashes happening. So that meeting was actually ineffective. He did not have that kind of maneuverability that he usually has in other parts of the country, and that's a constant. Third reason, as I said, related reason is, Amit Shah has been totally dependent on Himanta Biswa Sharma when it comes to managing the affairs in the northeastern states. He is the points person, he is the fulcrum actually. But now Himanta Biswa Sharma is, is the chief minister of Assam. So only the other day he gave a statement after those clashes, actually 2-3 days after the clashes happened. He said, first of all, I am the Assam chief minister. I may be the convener of NEDA, that Northeastern Democratic Alliance, but Assam comes first. So obviously, he would be partisan in the sense if Assam is having a border row with the, say, Meghalaya or even Mizoram or some other state. Now, Himanta Biswa Sharma cannot be the interlocutor because he is an interested party. So all these factors, have somehow tied up the center's hands, I would say Amit Shah's hands. But it's crucial for Amit Shah to actually deliver at this point of time, because you have seen him as the Home Minister, as the chief political strategist of the BJP. He has had a wonderful tenure. In 2014, you saw how Modi actually called him the man of the match, and after that also, one state after another, he as a strategist managed to bring the BJP to power. At one point of time, I think sometime around 2017, the BJP was ruling in 21 states. It's down to about a dozen. That's another part. But I'm talking about Amit Shah as a Home Minister, as the Home Minister of the country, and why it's so important for him. You look at his graph in the government. So he joins the government in May 2019. In July, he actually manages to get the contentious triple talaq bill cleared by the Rajya Sabha, cleared by Parliament actually, but Rajya Sabha was a big obstacle because the BJP and the NDA actually was in a minority in the upper house of Parliament. He still managed, he got the bill passed. Few days later, you saw him getting this unlawful activities prevention bill cleared by the Rajya Sabha again. That bill actually empowered the centre to declare an individual a terrorist. Again, a very contentious law, which the opposition wanted to be sent to a select committee. But Amit Shah, again, he showed his political genius there. He rallied around other non-NDA parties together and got the bill passed. Then we saw what happened on the 5th of August 2019. He was the one who got the special status of Jammu and Kashmir scrapped through the invalidation of 370. And that was the time when many people in the BJP started comparing him with Sardar Patel, basically saying that Amit Shah has basically completed the unfinished business of Sardar Patel. He was on a high. Couple of months later, he got the citizenship amendment bill cleared by the Parliament. And in fact, while speaking in the Lok Sabha, he said, मान के चलिए NRC आने वाला है. He just said that your NRC, just take it for granted that NRC or National Register of Citizenship, National Register of Citizens is also coming. He was on a roll. Suddenly came a bombshell, I would say, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while addressing a rally in Delhi, declared that there was no discussion in the government over the NRC. And from then on, you have seen from early 2020, Amit Shah's graph is on a downward slide, I would say, because there are many things which remain unfinished. So, for instance, CA rules. Now, CA rules are still not in place. It has been about 1.5 years, over 1.5 years actually. And the government has got another extension. Now it is saying that it will be framing the rules by January next year. That is pending. We saw communal rights in Delhi. Now BJP leaders, you must have been hearing them actually. They have always claimed that in BJP ruled states you don't have any communal rights. And then when the then US President Donald Trump was in Delhi, you saw a big communal right in Northeast Delhi, causing an acute embarrassment internationally to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Then we have many other issues. You saw how so many people with stakes and rods had entered the Jawaharlal Nehru University campus in Delhi. It has been about 20 months, not a single person has been arrested so far. As for the riots cases, if you have been watching it closely, you hear many judges actually passing a stricter saying the Delhi police investigations and finding faults in Delhi police investigations. Even those cases seem to be floundering. So although Amit Shah has been very active politically in one election after another, as the Home Minister, he has many expectations to meet. Amit Shah is seen as the putative successor of PM Modi. He has a reputation to protect. Northeast Delhi riots was a kind of a blow to his image. Now the classes or border classes in the Northeast are going to test his mettle as an administrator. It's the hour of reckoning for Amit Shah. That's all from me in this episode of Politically Correct. Thanks for watching.